Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Geekquillibrium Speak Geek Podcast. We are your hosts, Movie Master Mike.
And Tabletop Tim.
And we are back and better than ever with episode 12.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we are back. We took a week off, but we are back, and we are here to talk about Eulogy, which is a movie we talked about last week briefly. I let you borrow, and you watched, and you said you had actually seen it before.
Yeah, I didn't realize it. I didn't remember anything about it.
Right.
But there was a couple, as I was watching it, a couple things coming back to me here and there.
Right.
I've seen 8 million movies, so I think some things get pushed out.
Yeah,
as
absolutely.
I insert new data.
Yep. But yeah, I love that movie. It's one of my favorite, kind of dark comedies.
So. It was a dark comedy. It was a dark comedy that was, wacky as fuck.
Yeah.
It was a super wacky dark comedy.
Yeah. But we're going to talk about that. We got just one little thing of movie news I want to talk about. We got some board game news, a lot more board game news than normal.
I did some work this week.
Yeah, and we both went to the board game shop. We were there at different times this week, so we played different games. So we'll just talk a little bit about what we played this week and stuff. And so let's get right into it. Movie news. The only thing I want to talk about is the Supergirl show that has been on CBS. It just ended its first season. Superman hasn't been really in the show. You see his boot, at the end of an episode or something like that, or he's texting her and stuff like that. But you never actually see him. But they talk about him all the time. And what's actually interesting that the show isn't going to be on CBS anymore. It's switching to the CW. So now it's with Arrow and the Flash, all three of them together.
Right.
And they've had a crossover with the Flash, or not the Flash. The Flash. They crossed over with Supergirl. But we finally got Superman is going to be in the show. And there was some speculation a while ago about who should they cast, and people were saying that they should have got Tom Welling from Smallville to reprise his role. Now he's older; he's actually Superman after the end of Smallville and stuff. But it's not really in the world of Smallville,
right? So
then it was maybe it would be a cool idea if when the Flash is traveling through different dimensions or whatever, he ends up in the Smallville dimension, so you get a little bit of a get the cast back together for one episode, and that would be cool.
Maybe. I don't think I ever saw one episode of Smallville, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
It's you have a love-hate relationship with that kind of show, because it was kind of cool at first. It was oh cool, we get to see Clark Kent as Clark Kent in Smallville, kind of growing up and learning his abilities and all these things, and then it just it stretched out for 10 seasons.
Right. And
I guess before the show aired, the creator said no suit, no flight. So there's going to be no Superman suit, and he's not going to fly in the season or the series. Mm-hmm. It's well, after 10 seasons, why isn't he flying? Why doesn't he have a suit?
Pretty fucking old.
Yeah. So after a while, it was just they were just beating a dead horse. It was so weird. And so the first couple seasons, it was it's okay, this is kind of different, kind of cool, very CW, but not bad. Freak of the week kind of stuff. But then I watched the 10th season. I fell off after season 4. I watched the 10th season, and he finally becomes Superman at the very, very last 2 minutes of the season.
What a letdown.
Yeah, and he's wearing the Superman Returns suit that Brandon Routh wore. And but you barely the one from 06.
Oh, the film?
Yeah, the film.
Okay.
And but you see him from far away, or super close up on his face. You only see the neck of the suit, and then the very last shot of the series is they get word something's happening, so he goes up to the roof and he kind of runs towards the camera, pulling his shirt open, and that's the end of the series, which was cool. But after 10 years, this should have happened way sooner.
Yeah.
But he's not playing Superman and Supergirl, is what I'm getting at. It's going to be an actor named Tyler Hoechlin. And you may remember him from Road to Perdition.
Nope.
Teen Wolf.
Never seen it.
Yeah, neither have I. He was in Hall Pass. He was on Seventh Heaven for a while.
I probably remember if I saw him in Road to Perdition. I really liked that film. Was he the kid in that, or?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep. He's going to be in the 50 Shades Darker and 50 Shades Free films. Okay. I don't think he was in...
Can't wait to miss those.
Yeah. He wasn't in 50 Shades of Grey. But yeah, but he's going to be playing Superman, and he looks...
Yeah, why not? He looks Superman-ish.
Yeah. Yeah, not bad. He's got a beard in a lot of these pictures.
Super beard.
Yeah. But
he looks very Clark Kent-y.
Yes, especially in this picture that we're looking at now. He's got the glasses and everything. Yeah, he looks very Clark Kent. So yeah, I think he should do a good job. I mean, he's definitely more of a TV actor. So
his eyebrows are out of control, though. He needs to rein those babies in a little bit.
That's funny. Well, here he is, clean shaven in a few pictures, a little younger though.
Yeah, but still the eyebrows are.
Yep.
Are Teen Wolfy.
Yeah, he definitely fit for Teen Wolf. That's for sure.
A swarthy, almost swarthy gentleman. Now I can't stop looking at his fucking eyebrows.
But yeah, he should do a good job. He looks, clean him up, and he's Superman.
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested to see what the suit will look like, because the Supergirl suits, I think it's very nice looking. It's a little darker than normal. The colors are a little darker, but instead of yellow, it's like gold around the S and stuff. And I don't know, it just looks really nice. So I'm interested to see what they do with the Superman suit. They're going to darken it up. Are they going to keep the classic S like that you can get on, T-shirts and stuff? Are they going to redesign it like they did for Man of Steel? Are they going to go with one of the S's that they use like in the comic books? Like, I mean, there's so many things you can do with a Superman suit. So I wonder if they're going to keep the underwear on the outside. There's lots of things that I'm interested to see what they're going to do.
Yeah, that is a pretty cool Supergirl suit.
Yeah, I like the Supergirl suit a lot. Yeah, there's no color behind the S. It's just the color of the blue suit. So, I don't know, it looks good. So yeah, I'm really interested to see what they do with it.
What's a new era? Maybe gender classification isn't a thing on Krypton, and they could have the same exact outfit.
Yeah.
Superman with a skirt, her with the skirt.
Yeah, maybe his skirt just has like leather belts hanging down, almost like Roman attire. That'd be kind of cool.
Big old thick. What do you call that? A tassel?
I don't know.
Strap?
Yeah.
Strapsel?
Strapsels. Yeah, I don't know what those are called, but... All right, well, yeah, that was just all I really wanted to talk about movie news-wise was we're getting a Superman in the Supergirl show, and it has been cast, and he looks like he's going to be a good TV Superman.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, well, let's get into our movie discussion. We said we were going to talk about Eulogy. Yeah, this movie came out in 2004.
Right.
And it stars Hank Azaria, Jesse Bradford, Zooey Deschanel, Glenn Headley, Famke Janssen, Piper Laurie, Kelly Preston, Ray Romano, Rip Torn, Deborah Winger, and many other people. But really, the movie is about this girl. She's telling the story of what happened to this lady. She goes and knocks on her door and says, "I need to tell you something. It might be hard. So let me start from the beginning." And so she's like, I'm in college. I get a phone call that my grandpa died.
Mm-hmm.
And so now the family is amassing. And it's she's the main character. So everything I refer to, like her grandfather, it'll be from her perspective.
Right.
So it's her dad, Hank Azaria, and then Hank Azaria's brother, Ray Romano, and then Hank Azaria's two sisters, played by
Glenn Headley and
Kelly Preston.
And
Kelly Preston is the younger of the sisters, and she is a lesbian, and she's dating Famke Janssen. You get to find out all these quirky things about the family. That Ray Romano has two twins. They're like about 12 probably.
Mm-hmm.
And they kind of ran their mother out of town because they're just so horrible. And it's hilarious, like just the things that they do. And they're some of my favorite characters in the movie. Her grandmother is struggling with the death of her husband. And throughout the movie, you find out that like he wasn't really around the whole time. Zooey Deschanel's grandfather,
right?
He was barely around. It was like they mentioned like, remember that one weird Thanksgiving where that lady busts in and was acting all weird, and Grandpa just swept her away, and and so like you find out all these weird things, and at the end of the movie, you find out that he had three families.
Two other families.
Yeah, two other families, not including this one, and so he spent time with all three of them because apparently they thought he was a salesman, but he inherited millions when he was like 20, and he pissed it all away.
Yeah, raising three families.
Yeah, so that's why he wasn't around all the time. And so the grandma the whole time is trying to kill herself because she can't deal. The guy who was on Star Trek Deep Space Nine, the melty face guy, he was in the movie. He was like the preacher, who I thought he was hilarious. Like when he was giving the speech, he'd never met the guy, but he starts crying and gets super emotional and stuff. Which I thought was just funny. One of the sisters, the Glenn Headley, she's hilarious because she's so strict and weird and and like her husband doesn't say a word. He just kind of
she plays a real shrew, like a real ball breaker.
And she's got 3 kids, and none of them say a word.
No, her whole family's quiet except for her. Yep. She will not shut the fuck up. She's constantly just...
Yep, and she hates her little sister for being stuck in the rebellious lesbian teen phase. But then we find out through certain events that she's a lesbian deep inside.
Right.
And she hooks up with someone that they grew up with that was a nurse at the hospital that her grandma keeps being sent to.
Yeah.
And... Zooey Deschanel's character, like every time she went to her grandparents' house, she'd always hang out with this boy, and so he comes around and she's like trying to avoid him because the last time she was out there, they almost hooked up, but then his parents came home, and instead of just like getting dressed and pretending like they were just hanging out watching a movie, she like freaks out, gets like half dressed and leaves, and like runs into the parents, and like so it's this awkward situation.
She runs into her parents half dressed. His parents half dressed, and.
So it's like I was like, why did she freak out so bad? Like just pretend it didn't happen and just like hang out. But I mean, you're a teenager or whatever. But so you do weird things. But so yeah, she's trying to avoid him because of the weird situation, and he finally brings it up and just thinks it's hilarious. And so they're rekindling their love, and certain things happen. But Ray Romano and his boys are my favorite characters in the movie, and Hank Azaria.
He's got a lot of great lines. I really, I wouldn't say the only character that's really likable in this film is maybe Zooey Deschanel. Everyone else is, like you said, it's a dark comedy.
Yeah.
And all these characters are very flawed.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot to dislike about Ray Romano. There's a lot of incest jokes in this film, or allusion to wanting incest, you know?
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
Because, like, it turns out 2 of the aunts are lesbians, and and the one main one that we're introduced to is, like, all the guys can't stop, like, obsessing over the lesbian relationship that their sister has with this woman.
Yeah, Ray Romano is real into the...
Especially Ray Romano.
Yeah, like, they're talking... Hank Azaria and Famke Jensen are kind of just talking, and then Ray Romano comes out and ruins the moment because he says something like, "What's that about rubbing?" And he just wants to know all this information. And him and his boys, Zooey Deschanel, like turns the lights out to avoid her ex-boyfriend character, and so the next morning, the sister was like, just know there was a blackout, and she's like, yeah, it's you and your boys aren't up in my room. And he's like, it was dark.
It was dark, yeah.
It's like you're spying on your sister and her lesbian lover. Like,
pretty gross.
Lots of weird things. But
I thought he was hilarious.
Oh, he's so funny. You find out that he's like a lawyer, but he's an absolute idiot. He calls the judge like Your Highness, and and she's like, "Are you even a lawyer?" He's like, "Oh, touche," because he's obviously
and he
not.
answers the phone in the courtroom.
Yep. Like... Oh, and then his boys, like, when they run the mother out, it's because, like, she makes them a cake, and they make fun of it, and, like, where's our erotic cake? And she's like, where did you even learn that term?
Right.
And they fix it by, like molding the cake into, like, breasts.
Yeah, they just kind of smush it into a mound of breasts.
Yeah, and when they're leaving to go to the grandparents' house, they're playing a game, like, put the eggs on one of the kids' eye sockets, and like put the eggs in the sink without breaking them, and the sink's all nasty and like just like weird things. And one of my favorite moments is when they show up to the house, Ray Romano and his kids, and the kids like say like "damn" or something like that, and he's like shut up with that shit, like where do you even learn that shit? It's like obviously from you,
right?
Hank Azaria, you find out, he starred in one commercial when he was a kid, a peanut butter thing, and he says, something is stuck to my tongue, but because the peanut butter is there, something is stuck to my tongue, and he could never get a break after that, but he's stuck with the whole acting thing, so he starts acting in porn, which when he gets the phone call about the grandfather, he's like in the middle of a scene, like he's just reacting to sex happening, and he answers the phone, and the director's like, give me more emotion. He's like,
yeah, he's doing all this while he's talking about it. That was a very good intro scene. I thought it was funny.
Yeah, and you find out that Zooey Deschanel's mom died, but she thought she was like a social worker. But it turns out they were both in porn, and so she rents a video with her mom, a porno movie with her mom in it, and runs into her ex-boyfriend's parents, like, oh, last time we saw you were half naked, and here you are renting a porno movie, and it's really awkward. And the dinner scene is hilarious. The Vageniuses, where the kids call the lesbians Vageniuses, like just lots of funny lines in this movie. Ray Romano is hilarious, and Hank Azaria, he gets stoned. That's a funny scene.
Oh yeah,
I quote that all the time, where he's getting high in his room, listening to like soft music, and Zardeshno knocks on the door, and he's trying to like hide the pot, and he's smoking a joint, and kind of he has like a plant. It's not. He
starts waving a potted flower around the room,
like it's gonna get rid of the smell. But then he drops it on the bed, and he's like, "Fuck." And I say that all the time, like under my breath to myself. When like I drop something, I always go, "Fuck." And I just think Hank Azaria, and it's hilarious. And he ends up after all that opening the door with the joint still in his mouth. And
right.
It's so much fun in this movie. When the kids, for some reason, the grandpa said like he wants to be set downstream and lit on fire instead of buried.
Viking funeral.
Yeah. So they're like, all right. So they have like bow and arrows, and they're trying to shoot it, and they're like, wow, I wish we had bagpipes. Well, we know the words. They start making noise. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Those kids, I think, are just great in this movie, and they're obsessed with the lesbians as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, Famke Janssen, like she's barely in it. She's the only character trait she has is that she smokes, and she corrects people in their speech, like saying
"you and I."
Yeah.
Someone says "me and you," and
yep. Yeah, so that's like the only
she
character
corrects
trait.
"you and I." Yeah.
Yeah. But I love this movie. I think it's great. I watch it every so often. Like I know it like the back of my hand. I've seen it so many times. You said you probably didn't like it nearly as much as me.
No, I don't think I did.
Yeah.
I think I might go another 10 years without seeing this again.
Okay.
And I'll probably forget about it again.
Right.
But it's charming. It's not a masterpiece for me, but I think it's worth watching. It's got some really funny parts.
Yeah.
Which is more than I can say for a lot of comedies nowadays. They just don't tickle my funny bone so much. I'm not a big film comedy guy.
Yeah, neither am I. Because like, sure, it might be funny the first time, but then like it's never funny again.
Right.
I mean, because that's humor and laughter anyway. But
yeah, just a lot of things aren't striking me right nowadays. I think I'm just getting old. Maybe I tried to watch the new Vacation film.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it just I watched like 20-30 minutes of it, and I didn't laugh once. I was just like, no.
Yeah.
This isn't for me. And I had a lot of friends tell me it was very funny. I'm not saying I'm better than anyone. I'm just saying I don't get it. But a lot of jokes in this film, Eulogy, I really thought were funny. Especially Ray Romano. His deliveries are great. I think he should do more films, really. Yeah.
He seems to be nowhere to be seen anymore.
Yeah, he probably made his Everybody Loves Raymond money and just living off of that.
Yeah, he doesn't
living the easy life.
Yeah, he probably doesn't need to do anything else.
Yeah, probably not. Why not?
So, yeah. But yeah, I totally recommend this movie. I think everybody should check it out. I think it's hilarious. It's just a fun little quirky movie.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I think it's worth watching.
Yeah, lots of quirky characters. So I love it, and I would recommend it to anybody.
Yeah, and the final scene with the coffin was one of the funniest things.
Oh, yeah.
I remembered that scene specifically.
Okay.
And even when it happened, I laughed again. Like, it's still hilarious.
Yep. Yeah. So many good characters and moments in this movie. The incest thing is a little weird, but it works for the characters. So.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into board game news.
Board game news! All right. Do we want to do news or top 5 first? How do you think that?
Let's go news first. We got our top 5,
first.
but yeah, let's do the news first.
Okay. Just a couple stories. One thing I liked, game you just played last week, Orleans,
okay,
is going to have an expansion. It's debuting at Gen Con this year. It's going to be Orleans Invasion. So the expansion is going to have scenarios, new buildings, and event cards.
Okay.
And Orleans was cool. It's a what you call a bag building game.
Right. Yeah. While we're discussing, I might as well just talk about my experience playing it. Since,
yeah.
When I got to the shop, there was really nobody there, so just Nick and I played a game just because, I was like, well, I don't have too much time, and because my work keeps scheduling me on Wednesdays, and
bummer.
Yeah, but so I couldn't have too much time, so him and I just sat down and played Orleans, and yeah, the bag building game. It's much like a deck building game. Like when you get your pieces, but instead of putting your card into your hand, and when you or your deck, and you draw your cards from your deck. So everything you buy or gather, whatever, you just keep, drawing from that. Mm-hmm. It's a bag. It's in chips instead of cards. So
right.
You put them in the bag, and when you draw your 5 or however many you draw from your bag instead of a deck of cards. So it was the same thing, just little pieces.
Yeah, you're getting random
cards.
Workers.
Yeah, and so you place your workers on the board, and when you complete the little section, you get whatever it is. Like you have to place 3 people to go to the village, and when you go to village, you get a worker and one of these things. You go up on the village track, and same thing with all the other things. Like there's a track and like some kind of worker for each place. When you set your pieces on the board, you get that action. You go up on the track, and it gives you more things and stuff, and you get more pieces. And then when you draw, and they're all the different colors and stuff. So you need, to go to the village, you need like a white, a red, and a black character.
Right.
So you have to place those there, and when you do, you move up on that track and get the character and stuff, and then you can draw these tiles, which are buildings, which are just really just extra places that you can send people and that get you more things.
Yeah, but it's an action specific to you.
Yes.
And all the buildings are pretty powerful.
Yeah, I had one
getting
because the resources you were gathering, silk was the most expensive. It gave you the most victory points at the end. So I had one that if you place I think it was like 2, like a gray and a black character, you get a free silk.
Uh-huh.
So I was doing that like every turn, just getting
nice.
silk and stuff. So, and there's also a map where you can move your meeple around the map to get some of those resources for victory points.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a lot of fun. I liked it a lot.
I really liked that.
Yeah,
game.
and it played well with 2 people. So I mean, it was the only time I ever played it.
I think I played it with 3 or 4 when I played it.
Okay.
And I've only played it once, but it left a big impression.
Yeah, it was really good.
It does. It's a really great game.
Yeah, the art was probably the same as Murano. I think it looked a lot like the Murano.
I think
art.
It's the same artist.
Yeah, so the art's leaves a little to be desired, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, the pieces, the little pieces are so small, and it's really just colors and stuff.
I can't remember his name. It's
Clemens Franz.
Oh, Clemens Franz.
Yes.
I really like Clemens Franz. I like his aesthetic. I mean, he doesn't have super great anatomy, but what he's doing really works for the games that he does. You've got like Agricola, Le Havre. I think he did Oh My Goods and a dozen other games.
Yeah.
Murano, like you mentioned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Oh My Goods, I think he did that.
Mm-hmm.
I think he probably did Isle of Skye as well. Yeah, but I mean, his art, like the buildings and stuff I really like and stuff with the characters, it's not very good.
It doesn't bother me like it bothers you.
Yeah. I don't know. Art is just like a big thing of what draws me into a board game. Like if it looks like crap, it's like, well, I don't really want to play it. But yes.
So judgy.
Yes, very judgy. I am the judge, but
well, that's actually a good point. There's a game called Glory to Rome, I think, and it's supposed to be a very excellent game, but the art is very bad. It's like super cartoony. It doesn't feel like it fits with the theme at all. So I can see what you're saying.
Yeah, art just it just draws me into a game. But yeah. So I thought the game was very fun, and with this expansion, it sounds like maybe you can attack people.
It's going to debut at Gen Con 2016. So there's not a lot of details about it right now.
The one thing missing from the game was player interaction.
Right.
Because really, you could play the game by yourself. Because there's a set amount of turns. Each turn you flip over a tile and it says, okay, at the end of this round, you have to pay a good to the bank or whatever. So there's certain things that happen every round to everybody, but you don't really interact with the other person.
Yeah, this says the expansion is going to consist of scenarios, buildings, and event cards. Still seems like it's going to be just you versus the game and who can score the most. I don't think there's going to be a lot of interaction. Okay. According to this is just a bite-sized sample.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's going to be a character interaction.
Okay.
Just to clarify.
Yeah, I mean that was really the only downfall, and I think that's the downfall of a lot of games that I've played.
Yeah.
The games are super fun and great games, but there's really not a whole lot of interaction with other people. When we played Nothing Personal, there's nothing but interaction with other people. Yeah. So it's completely different, but I mean it was still a great game. Mm-hmm. So playing it with an expansion, I think will be really cool.
Yeah. Second story we got, just another little bite-sized bit, is Concordia is going to have another expansion. I
Okay.
believe they have 2 expansions, a new map expansion, and then Salsa.
Right. Which is mostly just like the Spanish area, right? Okay.
We're going to get another map for
All right.
Concordia, and it's only going to have 20 cities in it. So it's going to be real tight.
Oh, okay.
You know how if someone's built on the land already,
You have to pay double.
you have to pay double.
Right.
So this is going to compound because there's going to be less spaces available
Okay.
to
all
build
right.
cities on. Sounds pretty awesome to me. Story we're going to talk about in the top 5 is Massive Darkness. I wanted to talk about this. It's blowing up. Been number 1 on the hot list for a couple weeks now. And it's got an amazing Kickstarter. It's about to break all the records for Cool Mini or Not, the publisher that's making the game.
Right.
And it seems really cool. It's got some interesting mechanics going on with it. But it is just on fire.
And this is the number 1 game on the hot list, Massive Darkness.
Yeah.
Okay, and it's a miniatures game?
It's a miniatures game. It looks like it's going to be a dungeon crawler. So the players versus the board.
Okay.
It's going to have asymmetrical powers. You'll have like wizards and archers and fighters and so on. It's designed by the guy who did Zombicide.
Okay.
Was a very popular Cool Mini or Not game. I'm not sure, but I think that's really what gave Cool Mini or Not their start, was Zombicide. And this takes a lot of the parts of that engine, I believe, and utilizes it, and turns it into something else, though.
Okay.
I really like the combat system that they're going to use, and it's a draw deck. So it's like 20 cards. Some cards are going to be good, some cards are going to be bad. So it's like a 20-sided die, but eventually you'll be able to alter it. You're going to start being able to take some of the negative cards out of there, start adding positive cards as your character starts to power up.
Oh, cool.
So there's always going to be potential for failure, but you're kind of stacking the deck in your favor as you level up, like the typical dungeon crawler.
Right. Very cool. Yeah, the art looks really awesome.
Yeah, everything about it is looking really great. I'm not sure what their Kickstarter's at right now, but apparently it's going bananas.
So this game hasn't come out yet?
No.
That's probably why it's at the top of the hot list, because everyone's checking it out, trying to see when it comes out, what it's all about.
It's already been pledged. The pledge goal was $200,000. Backers have pledged $1,500,092.
Holy crap.
Yeah. So Cool Mini or Not they're killing every Kickstarter they put up, man. They I wouldn't say they're innovative, but they're making what people want. Blood Rage was one of the games they did, and then had a huge Kickstarter.
Nice. Yeah, I like that game.
Last thing I wanted to talk about in the news was Hero Realms. It looks like they've got everything set and ready to go. This is a game I talked about
Yeah, we talked
a week
about this
ago or
a couple
two.
weeks ago, yeah.
And it's the realm system based on the Star Realms mechanic.
You said like they kind of released one before, but it sucked. So this is like their
They were epic, and
right.
it was bad.
Yeah. So this is like their
according to me. I mean,
right. So this is their good attempt at making a fantasy version of Star Realms.
I believe so. It's using the same system that Hero Realms did, which I think is
Star
really
Realms?
cool. So, Star Realms, excuse me. And yeah, you'd just be drawing You're buying weapons and heroes and spells and whatever instead of space stations and other ships and
blaster
stuff.
pistols and stuff.
Right. But what's cool is it's going to have, what I liked was it's going to have boss decks. So you can be a boss and fight everyone else who's playing the game, or you can go 2 players and fight the boss in the game.
Oh, cool.
And it's also going to have a campaign deck. So you can do a dungeon crawler type game with this card game.
Oh, okay.
So you'll have
Very
like
cool.
a campaign that you play through. Star Realms had a very good app port for iOS, I think it was, and Android, and it's very good. And their campaign scenarios are awesome. You have goals that you have to hit to, beat certain species.
Nice.
You need to. Each one is more powerful than the next. So hopefully they'll utilize some of that for this campaign mode, and hopefully you'll be able to keep like some weapons and stuff that you buy during other campaigns. But I just thought that was a cool idea, taking this 2-player card game, basically, but adding these other elements, adding like a campaign element, adding like a boss fight element.
The boss fight element, that sounds cool.
Yeah, and they're also going to have character packs. Each character pack will have 10 starting cards specific to that character. So you'll have like a wizard, a thief, a fighter, and a ranger, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So you can build your deck according to the type of character you want to utilize during the game. I thought that was also very interesting.
Yep.
Way. So I'm very excited about this. My brother has Star Realms. I didn't really start collecting that, but I think I'll probably start collecting this.
Cool. Yeah, I like fantasy more than I like sci-fi.
Yeah, you know, it goes either way for me, but this one I'm very excited about for some reason.
Very cool.
It's really tickling my board game bone. And that's all I have for news today.
All right, well, we already talked about the number 1 in the top 5.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the other 4. We mentioned Massive Darkness was number 1.
Right, so these are just the games that have been on the top of 5 for the past week or two. Been taking note. So number 2 we're going to talk about is Scythe. Scythe looks really interesting. It seems like multiple avenues to victory. It's alternate history timeline. So it's right after World War I, but like they're introducing like mechs, robotic warfare in World War I.
Nice.
So there's this the story is there's a mech factory or something that closed down after the war. Now people are coming back. They want the land, so they're fighting for the land. It looks like area control. There's combat. You can eventually build mechs. Your mechs will fight. There's all kinds of other things you can do to gain victory, and it just looks really cool. It's an interesting universe they built. I think it's kind of steampunk mech warrior kind of shit.
Yeah, it looks very good. The meeples are all.
Yeah, and there's a ton of components.
Yeah, it looks like there's a ton happening in this game. Lots of pieces, lots of different boards, and the board itself looks fairly large.
Yeah, but the designer, Jamie Stegmaier, he has a video on Board Game Geek that explains what the game is pretty succinctly. I recommend you go check it out. It really got me interested in this game. All
right, I like the idea of right after World War I. That's when my timeline changed. Like that's kind of cool because I love World War I. So that's very cool.
All right. Oh shit! Another one we're gonna talk about is Hero Realms, but I think I just talked about that one.
Yeah, that was the number 3 on the list.
Yeah, Hero Realms has been blowing up the top 5. I think I explained that pretty succinctly.
Yes.
I think I explained why I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, the cards look all very cool. The art looks really cool.
Yeah. Next one that has been sticking to the top of the list is Imhotep. It's kind of... How do you explain this one? You're trying to build buildings. So you got to get the materials. You're putting them on boats. And then you're docking your boats in different areas to try to build towards the buildings you're trying to execute. But other people can... This is a very contentious game, apparently. There's a lot of manipulating you can do. If someone's trying to build on a building in a specific way, you can influence that. You can change it. You can block them. So it seems pretty interesting. It seems like it's going to be pretty inexpensive.
Oh, so you're just using typical square blocks to build.
Yeah, you're just using square blocks representing materials, and you're moving the materials to just build the buildings you want. But apparently there's a lot of actions you can utilize to block other people's buildings from coming out the way they want them to come out.
Well, I love ancient Egypt, so the theme is right for me.
Oh, it's an ancient... I should probably mention the themes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you say Imhotep, people think the mummy, so...
Right.
Well, they should think about the mummy when you hear Imhotep. Which apparently in actual history, he was an architect, not a priest, like in the mummy movies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so this game makes sense.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah. To call it Imhotep makes sense in this game, since you're building buildings. It looks like a lot of little boards. The boats are all different sizes. Looks like you can load up different boats with more or less goods.
Right.
Yeah, lots of little little boards. Not a whole. I don't look like there's like one central big board or anything.
Yeah, I think each game you play is going to be set up a little different.
Okay.
I think it's going to be one of those. So there'll be a lot of
replay value.
Yeah, replay value. But yeah, it looks really cool. I just want to get my hands in those big square blocks.
Yeah.
Stack them up.
Yeah, it looks like it'd be a lot of fun. It looks like you're literally stacking these blocks up as you're building. And they're all different colors. They probably represent different types of materials.
Yeah, each one's a different material.
Cool. Yeah, I love ancient Egypt. So I mentioned I played Kemet, and so I like the ancient Egypt theme. All
right, so another one that's on the top 5 is Star Wars Rebellion, and I've actually played this last weekend.
Nice.
And it is a great game.
Really?
It's actually a huge. How do you explain it? It's a huge, long form 2-player game.
Okay.
It's asymmetrical. Each person's powers are different, but one person's going to play the Empire in Star Wars, the other's going to play the Rebellion. So the Rebellion has a hidden base on one of the planets in the universe, or in the galaxy.
Right.
And the Empire's trying to suss it out. They're trying to find the Rebel base. And basically, the Rebellion is trying to execute objective cards. To move, what you have is a respect meter, I think it's called.
Okay.
And that's going down. And the Empires, they're using every turn to go to different planets and search them to try to find the Rebel base. And so that round marker moves up. So the more and more the Rebels execute their objectives, the further backwards it goes on the track. And if the time tracker and the respect tracker ever meet, the game ends. If the base hasn't been found by that time, then the Rebels win.
Oh, okay. Sweet.
But there's a lot of cool stuff going on. There's 1 million miniatures in the game. You have everything. You have Star Destroyers, you have Death Stars, you have Stormtroopers, and you have X-Wings, and Y-Wings, and A-Wings.
Nice.
Just everything. A lot of iconic Star Wars stuff. And so you're either going to be doing space combat, the Empire versus the Rebels, or you're going to be trying to execute certain cards from your hand that'll give you bonuses and so on. A cool thing about that is you have to put forward a leader to try to execute a card. So let's say I'm going to put forward Darth Vader to try to execute this card here. And each leader has different powers on it. So one leader will have like foresight, one leader will have like strength, one will have, I forget what they call it, but it's like engineering, like they help build stuff.
Okay.
So Darth Vader will say we'll have 3 fists is what this is strength. And so you can put forth a leader to try to oppose him. So if you have a leader with a lot of strength, you can put that, say, you know what, I'm trying to oppose your objective. So if Darth Vader has 3 strength, it's a strength-based objective. He's going to roll 3 dice. The leader opposing him will roll as many dice as they have. Let's say it's Chewbacca. I think Chewbacca had 4 strength.
Nice.
He'll roll 4 dice against Darth Vader. And just whoever has the most successes will either stop or have the objective executed. So you kind of have to balance out where you're going to put your leaders. Are you going to save a leader to try to oppose what someone's doing, or are you going to use a leader to try to put forth an objective?
Right.
So there's a lot of balancing and bluffing and maybe guesswork. It's really cool. I used the Emperor to actually capture Chewbacca, and then I turned him, which is one of the powers you can utilize.
That's
so
awesome.
I turned Chewbacca to the dark side and used that leader to my advantage.
Sweet. Did you win the game?
No, actually, I didn't. I played with Matt, my brother.
Okay.
And yeah, he just he was getting his objectives, and I wasn't. He was playing cards that let him choose his objectives. You know, pick 2 cards, choose one, and put the other on the bottom of the deck. So he was choosing objectives that he could, eventually execute.
Right.
And I wasn't stopping him enough. I wasn't stopping him from getting those cards, which I think is an important strategy.
Were you focused on looking for the rebel base?
Yeah, I was just focused on... It's like, I don't care. Get your cards. I'm fucking searching over here.
Yeah. Yeah, when I was at the shop playing Orleans, somebody came in and was asking, like, what's a good game, and Chris, who works at the shop, said Star Wars Rebellion. Like, it's my favorite board game right now. So he started to kind of explain it. So I heard a little bit of what he was saying, but I kind of had to focus on my game. But so like I knew it was one against the other and stuff. So I knew like a little tiny bit about it. But I mean, Star Wars is like my favorite thing in the world. So I mean, I said I like fantasy more than sci-fi, and Star Wars is kind of both. So Star Wars is just my favorite thing ever.
Yeah, if you're a Star Wars fan and you're into a long form, and if you have a someone else you can play the game with, I completely recommend you getting this game. It's beautiful, it's huge, it takes up almost the entire table, and it's a really excellent game.
Nice.
Yeah, I can't think of one thing to complain about it, really.
Because I know there's like Star Wars miniatures, like tabletop games, like Warhammer type games, right?
Well, yeah, right. You have X-Wing.
X-Wing,
that's
the one.
You have Armada.
Yep.
You have...
And those are two completely different games? Or is it
They're similar. There are different games, but they're similar. So X-Wing is like dogfighting. It's X-Wings versus TIE fighters and so on. You have miniatures and you have them fly around the table and then shoot at each other. You can add different powers and pilots to give you just different things you can juice up your ships with. Right. Armada is large space combat. So you're going to have Star Destroyers and what do you call them? Corvettes. Corellian Corvettes. Just stuff like that. Big ship combat. You have X-Wings and TIE fighters in there, but they're really tiny. Right. They're just kind of a nuisance to the large ship that you're doing combat with. Both systems are kind of similar, but again, they're different games. They both have different mechanics.
All right.
Those are really cool, except those, like you said, in the way of Warhammer, they're collectible miniatures games.
Yes.
So if you have the money for it, get into it. I recommend it. It's a lot of fun. It's fun customizing your own ships, putting whatever pilot or powers on your ships that you think will give you the advantage. But it's kind of expensive, you know?
Right. So Rebellion is like a traditional board game, like
you buy it's a self-contained. It's a self-contained game.
Okay, yeah. So I'd much rather play that only because I don't have to continually buy all kinds of other stuff to make the game, different and stuff. So. And
it's a Fantasy Flight, so it's going to be quality. Like,
right.
I love everything they put out.
Yeah.
Just about.
Yep. Yeah, they do good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, awesome. Yeah, I mean, Star Wars is just the best. So.
Yeah.
And it's cool that it's that era of Star Wars.
Yeah, it kind of. I think it expands throughout the first three films, the first three made films.
Right. Classic trilogy. Yeah, that's the best timeline.
Because it goes. You can go to Dagobah. You can find Yoda.
Oh, cool.
And there's actually a mechanic that switches young Luke to Jedi Luke when you find Yoda on the Rebellion side.
Sweet.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah. That is awesome.
So you level him up, he becomes a little more powerful. All kinds of cool little stuff like that in the game.
Nice. Yeah, it'd be cool to play it twice. One as the Rebellion and one as the Empire. So
each side has its own strategies.
Yep.
And there's plenty there to learn and have fun with.
Very cool. I wanted to mention that last week I went to Matt's house to play board games again. I played Kemet with him and another Matt the week before. Last week we got together because he just left to go overseas for the summer. And we played Dead Men Tell No Tales, which is a co-op pirate game. It's a lot like... I forget what the game is called. But you're going from room to room and you have to put out fires. Ghosts appear, so you have to get rid of the ghosts. And you're trying to fight the pirates to get the treasure and then bring the treasure back off the boat.
Like Flashpoint, would you say? Have you played Flashpoint?
I haven't played Flashpoint.
Okay.
But it was a very fun game because like every turn, like you draw a tile and it has like doors, and doors have to match, and so you have to lay the tiles and then place something there, and you have like 5 coins to spend as your turn, so you have 5 points to spend, and each to move is 1 point, to do this is 2 points, and it was a lot of fun. We completely lost. Because like, the way we were laying our tiles, like eventually rooms explode. Like when the fire gets too hot, they explode, and you have to turn the tile over.
That's like Flashpoint. Okay. That's exactly like Flashpoint.
Yeah, it was just pirate themed.
That's cool.
Yeah, and so we ended up, when we drew another tile, there was literally nowhere for us to put it. There were no doors to connect the doors.
Oh.
So we lost.
Bummer.
Yeah, and then we played Abyss.
Oh, I've wanted to play that.
Yeah, it was a super beautiful game. The artwork is incredible, and the theme is it's like Atlantean type theme, and really there were like 3 things to do on your turn. There's this track that has like 5 empty spaces for cards, and you flip a card over into the first spot, and you have to ask the other players if they want to buy it from you. And each one, there's like 4 or 5 different colors like of cards. And each one has 1 through 5 a number on it, and 5 being worth the most. So if it was like a yellow 5, someone would be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna buy that for 1 pearl," and pearls are money, which is cool, a pearl, But if they both pass, you flip, and you don't want it, you flip over another card. And if everybody passes, you keep flipping them over.
So if you want a card, potentially someone will have a chance to buy it before you get to utilize it.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, if it's a really good card. Like say...
I'll take that.
Yeah, so say there was 3 of us. It was me, Matt, and Matt. So I flip over a card. So Matt was like, yeah, I'll buy that one for 1 pearl. And then I flip over another one. And the other Matt's like, wow, I really want that card. He has to pay 2 pearls since it's the second card to be bought.
Right.
And then I just get the card for free since it's my turn. But if he gets the very last section of the track and still nobody wants it, I have to take that last one. But I also get a pearl. And then the unused cards that are that I flipped over that nobody wanted, because there's like I said, there was like 5 or 6 spots. The ones that didn't get picked that were laid out get flipped over and put onto a stack, color coded.
Okay.
So if you keep doing that, if everybody just keeps like laying down cards and it ends up going all the way, or even if like I flipped over 3 and then I finally got a card, then those other 2 get flipped over onto their stacks. And on your turn, you can just grab a stack.
Oh, nice.
So if nothing but yellow cards just kept being flipped over, so there's a big stack of yellow, you just on your turn you just get like a stack of yellow cards. And,
nice. And
then you use those cards to purchase characters, and then the characters will get you realms, and then the realms give you and each character gives you something, and they'll help you out. But once you get a realm, you place it over your characters, so then their abilities no longer work. So one of your abilities says like you can like buy something for free or something. Once you cover up that ability, you can't utilize that ability anymore.
But you want the realms.
Yes, you want the realms, so the realms will give you the victory points and stuff.
Yeah, okay.
But as you're buying your characters, those abilities really help you out.
Yeah, so it's a kind of a balance. Yep. Do I get the points or use the powers right now for something else? Maybe.
Yeah, but you're gonna want the realms, so
right.
But it was a really fun game. The theme didn't have anything to do with the game really. It was just a cool theme, and the artwork is incredible. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. It was a good game.
Oh, excellent! I can't wait to play it.
Yeah, it was cool. All right, well, thank you for joining us this week on our podcast. We talked about a little bit of movie news. Superman has been cast in Supergirl. We talked about Eulogy, a small little indie dark comedy film. We got a lot of board game news in there, in the top 5 on the Board Game Geek hot list. And some other little news in there. And then we talked about just some games that we played this week: Rebellion, Orleans, Abyss, and Dead Men Tell No Tales. Actually, I played those 2 last week, the week before, but...
who's counting?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so thank you for joining us. Next week we'll be talking about movies and board games. Again, we'll be getting into the top 5 list. Hopefully it's different. But we'll have some board game news for you, and then we'll reconvene at the board game shop. Hopefully, and play a game together.
Try to sleep responsibly this weekend so we can play some games together.
Yes, yeah, because the last couple of weeks we kind of just we missed each other. So
yep, I'm catching up on sleep.
Yeah, well, no fault there. You need your sleep.
But board games, man, board games.
Yeah, but everybody needs to sleep. So, I haven't slept in past 6 in the morning in like 3 months. So.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Even on my days off, I wake up like super early. So you can always check us out on YouTube at youtube.com/user/moviemastermike, on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/geekquillibrium, on Facebook at facebook.com/geekquillibrium, and facebook.com/geekquillibrium1. So check us out on all those different avenues. We'll be posting this to YouTube in there, and the Facebook will be talking about things we see and play throughout the week. And so join us next week. And until then, we are your hosts, Movie Master Mike
and Tabletop Tim,
reminding you to speak your geek
and balance your geek
with Geekquillibrium.